Ever get that feeling when someone throws out a phrase and you think, yep, those are English words,
Yeah.
but what do they actually mean together?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like there's this secret code woven into everyday conversations.
Totally.
Well, that's the world of idioms, and today we're cracking that code.
Exactly. We're embarking on a deep dive into the fascinating realm of English idioms. These are, those little linguistic nuggets that add so much color and depth to the language.
Right.
And our treasure map for this exploration is learn essential English idioms through conversation, which is a fantastic resource. It shows these phrases in their natural habitat, real discussions.
Yeah, and think about all those times you've probably heard these kinds of phrases, maybe figuring out weekend plans or commiserating over exam stress or trying to understand the latest phone update or even just waiting for a movie to finally start.
Yeah. The source material covers a huge slice of life. You've got big stuff like job changes, navigating a breakup, and then the smaller moments feeling totally wiped out after a long day, the whole saga of choosing a new car or just, psyching yourself up for a dentist appointment.
Definitely been there.
Yeah.
So our mission here today, it's more than just memorizing definitions, right?
Absolutely. We want you to really get these idioms, how they feel in a conversation, the subtle nuances they carry.
And how you can use them yourself with confidence.
Exactly. It's about developing that kind of intuitive understanding that goes beyond just looking it up in a dictionary.
Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to start by looking at idioms that touch on this idea of planning or maybe not planning.
Spontaneity versus structure.
Yeah, and dealing with unexpected situations. First up, play it by ear. This one pops up in a conversation about a trip to an amusement park.
Right. So one person is trying to nail down the itinerary, asking, so what's the plan for today? And the other person responds, I don't really have one. Let's just play it by ear.
Okay.
What's interesting here is the image it evokes. It's like musicians improvising. Ah, right.
To play it by ear just means being flexible, seeing how things unfold, making decisions as you go without a fixed schedule.
That makes sense. It's kind of the opposite of having every minute mapped out.
Precisely.
Then we have hang in there. I think we've all been on the receiving end of this one, especially when the pressure's on.
Oh, for sure.
Like in our example, someone's feeling totally swamped by exams and saying they feel like their brain is about to explode.
Absolutely. Hang in there is such a common phrase of encouragement.
Yeah.
It's basically a way of saying persevere, don't give up.
Yeah.
It's that mental image of like holding on tight during a storm. You're urging someone to keep going through a tough period, even when they feel overwhelmed.
Okay. Next, we've got it's not rocket science. This one always makes me, chuckle a bit.
Thank you.
In our source, it comes up when someone's getting frustrated with, the complexities of new phone technology and just wants to make a simple call.
The humor in this one definitely lands because, let's face it, we've all been there.
It's not rocket science is used to emphasize that something should be relatively simple and straightforward.
Right.
The frustration just highlights that contrast between the perceived simplicity of making a call and the often, convoluted steps involved in modern tech. It's a way of saying, this shouldn't be this hard.
Exactly. And rounding out this first section is a classic. Better late than never. We see this when Tom finally shows up for a movie, like 15 minutes after it started, blaming a train delay.
Better late than never is, a generally accepted sentiment. It means it's preferable to do something late than not at all.
Sure.
However, the conversation around it is key here. Tom's friend has this funny report. Imagine if I didn't show up at all. That would be better.
Huh, right.
And this really highlights that while the idiom offers a bit of comfort, the lateness can still have consequences, and the context really matters. It's not some universal get-out-of-jail-free card.
Good point. Okay, so we've looked at navigating plans and unexpected delays. Now let's shift gears a bit and think about how we express ourselves when faced with decisions and challenges.
Okay.
First up, the ball is in your court. This one comes up in a conversation about a tricky job decision. Someone's got a new job offer, but is hesitant to leave their current stable position.
Right. The ball's in your court is a great idiom. It puts the focus squarely on the person who needs to make a decision or take the next step.
It's like a sports metaphor.
Exactly. It uses the metaphor of a ball game. Once the ball is passed to you, it's your turn to play. So in this context, having the job offer means the person has the responsibility and the power to choose their next move.
Gotcha. Then we have pull yourself together. This is a phrase we might hear or maybe even say to ourselves when emotions are running high.
Yeah.
Like in the example of Sophie going through a breakup.
Pull yourself together is a pretty direct call for emotional regulation. It advises someone who is very upset to, regain control of their feelings and compose themselves. While it aims to encourage resilience, it's also an idiom that, needs to be used with some sensitivity. The timing and tone can really impact how it's received.
That's true. Okay, after the excitement of seeing a Broadway show, but feeling completely drained, we hear the simple phrase, hit the sack.
Hit the sack. It's a wonderfully informal way of saying go to bed.
Yeah, it sounds very casual.
It really paints a picture of someone just collapsing into bed after a long day. The image of a sack as a bed might sound a bit old-fashioned.
A little bit.
But the idiom itself is definitely still very much in use.
Okay, and to wrap up this section on choices and challenges, after a really long and probably, let's be honest, not so productive day at work, someone suggests call it a day.
Call it a day. It's a clear signal to stop working on something, usually because you've reached a point of fatigue or, diminishing returns.
Right, like there's no point pushing further.
Exactly. It acknowledges the need for rest and a break, implying that continuing might not actually be beneficial. It's about recognizing your limits.
Makes sense. All right, let's move on to how we get straight to the point and express ourselves directly. Our first idiom here is cut to the chase.
Yes.
This comes up when Sophie and her friend are taking forever to decide on a car for their trip.
Cut to the chase is all about efficiency in communication. It basically means skip the unnecessary preamble.
Just get to it.
Yeah, get to the most important information quickly. The friend is essentially saying, look, we don't have all day. Let's focus on making a decision.
Okay. Next up is the slightly eerie phrase, speak of the devil.
Yes.
This happens when Olivia, who hasn't attended any study sessions, walks in, just as her friends are talking about her absence.
Speak of the devil is a fun idiom we use when someone we were just talking about suddenly appears.
Right. It's uncanny sometimes.
It often carries a sense of surprise, sometimes even a little bit of playful irony. Olivia's unexpected entrance is the perfect real-life illustration of this.
Definitely. And finally in this section, when Daniel is dreading his upcoming dental appointment, he's told to bite the bullet.
Bite the bullet. It's a powerful idiom. It means to face a difficult or unpleasant situation with courage and stoicism, even though you really don't want to.
Where does that come from?
Well, the image likely comes from a time when soldiers would literally bite on a bullet during painful medical procedures without anesthesia just to cope with the pain.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So Daniel's fear of the dentist makes this idiom particularly apt. He just has to face it.
Right. Now let's navigate some of life's inevitable ups and downs. First, we have stop and smell the roses, which comes up when Elena has been working relentlessly, not even taking a lunch break.
Stop and smell the roses is such a beautiful idiom. It serves as a gentle reminder to slow down and appreciate the small, good things in life.
Instead of just rushing all the time.
Exactly. Rather than constantly being caught up in the rush and stress, it's about being present and enjoying the moment.
Nice. Oh dear, someone missed an opportunity. Miss the boat is mentioned when Chloe realizes she didn't hear about a valuable time management workshop.
Yeah, miss the boat clearly conveys that idea of missing out on a chance or an opportunity.
Because you didn't know or act fast enough.
Right. Chloe's lack of awareness about the workshop meant she lost the potential benefits it could have offered. She missed the boat.
Gotcha. And I think many of us can relate to this next one. Bite off more than you can chew. Ethan uses it to describe his situation. He's got an essay, a report, and a group presentation all due around the same time.
Oof. Yeah. Bite off more than you can chew is a vivid way to describe taking on more than you are capable of handling.
It's like literally taking too big a bite of food.
Precisely. The analogy to taking an oversized mouthful that you can't comfortably manage really drives the point home about overcommitting yourself.
Definitely. Okay, moving on to how we express agreement, discuss accuracy, and talk about cost. Our first idiom here is break the ice. Used when Jason is having a somewhat awkward initial meeting with a new client.
Break the ice is all about easing tension and creating a more comfortable, friendly atmosphere, usually right at the start of an interaction.
Like small talk.
Sort of. It suggests that initial stiffness or formality needs to be overcome, much like breaking a layer of ice to allow for smoother passage. Jason, realizing he should have started with a more casual topic, shows he understands that need to break the ice.
I see. Then, when James's presentation timeline is being discussed, someone points out it seems too short, and the immediate agreement is, You hit the nail on the head.
Hit the nail on the head. That's a fantastic idiom. It signifies being exactly right about something.
Spot on.
Yeah, your assessment or observation is completely accurate. In this case, the concern about the short timeline is precisely the core issue with the presentation planning. They nailed it.
Okay. And rounding out this section, we have costs an arm and a leg. This is used to describe a very fancy new coffee machine in the office.
Costs an arm and a leg. It's a common and humorous exaggeration to emphasize that something is extremely expensive.
Like really expensive.
Right. It suggests the price is so high you'd have to make a huge sacrifice like an arm and a leg to afford it.
Got it. Let's look at how unexpected events can sometimes have positive outcomes and how we talk about managing stress. First up is a blessing in disguise.
Ah, yes.
Used when a broken printer surprisingly leads to a much-needed network update.
A blessing in disguise perfectly describes something that initially appears to be bad luck or a problem.
Like the printer breaking.
Right, but ultimately results in a positive outcome. The broken printer, while inconvenient at first, forced them to address a larger underlying issue with their network.
So they got improvements they wouldn't have otherwise.
Exactly. A blessing in disguise.
Cool. And when Clara has been typing nonstop and is clearly feeling the pressure, her colleague Liam simply tells her to take it easy.
Take it easy. It's a very common and gentle way of advising someone to relax, not to overwork themselves, and just reduce their stress levels.
Then I like chill out.
Yeah, similar vibe. It's a reminder to slow down and prioritize well-being. Just take it easy.
Good advice. Now, for idioms that relate to frequency, maintaining a positive attitude, and dealing with regret.
Right.
First, we have once in a blue moon, used to describe the very rare occasion of Dan getting an A+ in algebra.
Once in a blue moon is a great idiom to describe something that happens extremely rarely.
Like almost never.
Pretty much. The image of a blue moon, which is an infrequent astronomical event, perfectly conveys the unusualness of Dan's high math grade. It happens once in a blue moon.
Okay. After facing multiple rejections from her dream company, Sophia receives the encouraging words, "Keep your chin up."
Keep your chin up.
Yeah.
It's a classic expression of encouragement. It urges someone to remain positive and hopeful, even when facing disappointment or setbacks.
It's a physical image almost.
It is. It's a visual metaphor for staying resilient and not letting negativity get you down. Keep your chin up.
Got it. And finally in this section, after accidentally sending the wrong file to a client, oops.
Oh, dear.
Emma is told not to cry over spilled milk.
Cry over spilled milk. It's a very practical idiom. It advises against dwelling on past mistakes or misfortunes that, well, cannot be changed.
What's done is done.
Exactly. The focus should be on learning from the error and moving forward, rather than getting stuck on what's already happened. No use crying over spilled milk.
Right. Let's move on to idioms that describe worsening situations, shared responsibility, and actions that have a significant impact. First, add fuel to the fire.
Yes.
Used when someone realizes that pointing out Greg's unclear idea in front of everyone likely made him feel even worse.
Add fuel to the fire vividly describes actions that exacerbate an already bad situation, making it more intense or volatile.
They're making things worse.
Precisely. The public criticism likely amplified Greg's potential embarrassment or disappointment. It just added fuel to the fire.
Okay. We encounter the ball is in your court again, but this time with maybe a slightly different emphasis. It's after a proposal has been sent to a client.
Right. In this context, while it still signifies that it's the client's turn to act.
Like before.
Yeah. But the nuance here is more about anticipation and waiting for their response. The responsibility has shifted, and the next move rests with them to review and decide on the proposal. The ball's in their court now, so we wait.
I see the difference. And finally, in a discussion about preparing for a client presentation, Hannah wisely states, actions speak louder than words.
Such a great proverb. Actions speak louder than words. Emphasizes the importance of demonstrating your capabilities through what you do rather than just talking about them.
Show, don't just tell.
Exactly. Hannah is highlighting that showing the client a tangible example of their work will be far more convincing than simply stating their readiness. Actions speak louder.
Makes total sense. Now, let's look at idioms that relate to the passage of time and the wisdom of diversifying our efforts. First, the common expression, time flies.
Oh, yeah.
Used when Rob and his friend are surprised at how quickly their study day has gone by.
Time flies is just a universal experience, isn't it? This idiom perfectly captures that feeling of time passing quickly.
Especially when you're busy or having fun.
Right. When you're engaged in an activity, the realization that their long study day is almost over just underscores this sentiment. Wow, time flies.
Yeah. And in a conversation about finding a solution to a problem, someone is advised, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's such well-known advice. It advocates for diversification and having backup plans.
Don't rely on just one thing.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It cautions against relying solely on a single option, because if that one option fails, you could be left with nothing. Mia is being encouraged to consider multiple solutions here. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Good advice. Moving on to idioms used for well wishes, to describe impossible events and to encourage extra effort. Before a marathon, Lena offers Ryan the traditional theatrical good luck wish, break a leg.
Break a leg. It's a fascinating idiom, isn't it? Especially because its literal meaning is the exact opposite of what it intends.
Yeah, it sounds bad.
Right. Originating in the theater, it's a superstition-based way of wishing someone good luck before a performance or, a big event like a marathon.
So it's actually positive.
Totally. It's a tradition that's stuck around and is understood to be positive encouragement. Break a leg.
Okay. When the rumor of getting Fridays off work starts circulating, Rob responds with extreme skepticism, saying, when pigs fly.
When pigs fly. It's a humorous idiom used to express that something will absolutely never happen.
Zero chance.
Basically. Rob's response clearly indicates his disbelief and the perceived impossibility of the company granting Fridays off.
Yeah, right.
When pigs fly.
Got it. And finally, Chris is encouraged to go the extra mile when preparing his presentation.
Go the extra mile. This just means to put in more effort than is strictly required to achieve a better outcome.
Do more than expected.
Exactly. Chris is being advised to exceed expectations and add additional value, maybe some extra research or better visuals to his presentation. Go the extra mile.
Nice. Let's touch on idioms that describe risky situations and the act of revealing secrets. First, Jim is warned that he's on thin ice with his boss because he hasn't yet completed his report.
On thin ice. It's a very vivid idiom. It describes being in a precarious or risky situation where you are in danger of getting into trouble.
Like you could fall through any minute.
Exactly that feeling. Jim's overdue report has clearly put him in a vulnerable position with his supervisor. He's on thin ice.
Yikes. And when Ryan unexpectedly finds out about a surprise party being planned for his aunt, he realizes his friend has spilled the beans.
Spill the beans. It's a common idiom meaning to reveal a secret, often accidentally.
Let the cat out of the bag.
Similar idea, yeah. Ryan's friend inadvertently let the surprise slip, thus spilling the beans about the party.
Okay. Finally, let's look at idioms related to following trends and understanding the deeper aspects of a situation. First, when someone decides to join a popular fitness challenge, their friend remarks that they're jumping on the bandwagon.
Jump on the bandwagon. This describes the act of joining a popular trend or activity simply because it has become widespread or fashionable.
Doing it because everyone else is.
Pretty much. The friend is observing that the person is participating in the fitness challenge mainly due to its current popularity. They're jumping on the bandwagon.
Got it. And lastly, when discussing what seems like a relatively small budget issue, someone remarks that what they've heard is just the tip of the iceberg.
The tip of the iceberg. It's a really powerful idiom. It's used to suggest that the visible part of a problem,
What you can see.
right, is only a small fraction of a much larger hidden issue lurking beneath the surface. The initial budget concern is indicated to be just a sign of potentially more significant underlying financial troubles, just the tip of the iceberg.
Wow. So you can really hear how these idioms weave their way into all sorts of everyday conversations, can't you?
Absolutely.
Adding layers of meaning that aren't always obvious from just the literal words themselves. Hopefully our deep dive today has shed some light on these colorful expressions.
Yeah, we've journeyed through a really wide array of these fascinating phrases, all anchored in the practical context of conversations from our source material.
Which is key.
It is. It really gives you a powerful shortcut to understanding how these idioms actually function in the real world, not just on paper.
So maybe take a moment now to think about which of these idioms were new to you, or perhaps which ones you now understand in a slightly different way. Perhaps some of these examples gave you a real aha moment. You might consider how you could feel more confident using them in your own conversations.
And as you ponder these idioms, maybe consider the cultural richness embedded within them too. How do these seemingly simple phrases, often with roots in specific historical or social contexts, How do they offer us a glimpse into the way English speakers think and have interacted with the world over time?
That's a great point. What unspoken stories might these common sayings actually be telling? Something to think about.